Oh, it says live up here. And it's 5 seconds. 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right, now we're through the lag.
You think we're through the lag, eh?
I know we are. The wee figure things come up, tell me how many people's in. It takes 10 seconds to appear till the computer gets a head count.
Switch on the chat so I can see our calls. Hey!
Right, now we're on the chat. Let's see who's in. Duncan McCretcher, Ian, Indy Scott, Brian, Chris Fisher, Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette. Morning, Christina. Afternoon, Christina. Duncan, Chris, Gillian, Scott, Pete.
I'm doing this. It's best idea. And I wave. Hello.
It's music. Tina Chalmers up there in Dundee. Last Braveheart. Carl Oates. Robert Bruce. Laurie Hay. Hi, Gingers. Hootsman. Stephen McNeil. Stephen Nichol. Chris Fisher's in the house. Wake up and smell the rosemary's in the house. Who else we got? George Ewan's in the house. June's in. Hi, June. Who else we got? I think that's everybody so far. We've Pets in. Tell you, I haven't seen a wee while. Eddie, I haven't seen Eddie Wolfie trap, and I hope he's all right. I need to give him a wee tap him up. Make sure he's all right. Tommy Murray's in. He was the first one through the door this afternoon. Right, back down. Kazzy, welcome aboard. Thanks very much for the Christmas card. Didn't have to take me by surprise. Give my best to your wee mammy. When you get the mail when it comes through the door today.
Also, somebody I haven't seen today, maybe I missed them, was Chris Fisher.
Chris is there.
He was only first in.
Oh, Chris is there. So, Karen, thank you very much. The first Christmas card of the year, middle of November. You won the award. Queen Shaving, your favourite. Well, that's the thing, folks. It's out to public consultation, this one. Does the beard come back or does it stay off? Put your vote in yes or no. Yes for stays off, no for grow it back, and I'll count them after the programme.
Right, America's got a veto over in the UN.
That's all right.
Sarah has a veto over anything that you ought to decide.
That's true, guys. There is a small matter of Madam Director who wants the beard back after seeing it for the last few years. Apart from that, she says it tickles. And Eddie, I'm glad you're there. You've just been lurking. Is that all it is? As long as you're all right, Eddie. As I said before, we do worry when we don't see names pop up.
Hi, Eddie. I miss you.
Right, so far I've tasted Queen Shaving, David. It's 3 no's to 1 yes.
but the power of veto is very, very powerful in that house.
Yes, hello Charlie, hello Sir Larry, and Charlie's fine. He's out there on his play activity centre.
Sort of comes in with the long gown on and says, "These are not the whiskers you're looking for."
Anyway, so far I've tasted Queen Shaving. Stephen Nichols abstaining. And somebody says, "I want your face furniture back." Okay, Karen.
Kazzy said that.
Aye, Karen, you get 2 votes seeing you sent me the first Christmas card. Anyway, we'll see where it goes, folks. If I get in close enough, you'll see I'm already in the
Don't. Cheers.
That's only after 24 hours, by the way. By tomorrow, the beard will be back. And Sir Larry the Cat, Pro Beard, that's that fucking sorted. I'm growing it back.
Right.
Right, first up, folks, I hinted it this morning, an important development over the weekend. Yes. So David and I are about to speak about it, and that was Believe in Scotland and Gordon McIntyre Kemp's organisation, Believe in Scotland, which is in a partnership with the SNP, have put forward their prospectus for independence. Now, what Gordon McIntyre Kemp says in his a route to independence that he's put out is he realises it's too late for 2026 to stand as a plebiscite election or a de facto referendum. But he says that even if the SNP get a yes, get a majority in Holyrood, he expects Westminster to deny that. At that point, he thinks that the next UK election, the same way I do, should be a plebiscite election. As it's MPs took us in, it'll be MPs that take us back out again.
Now, if we talk about a plebiscite election, for those of you who haven't heard the term probably before, basically what it means is that the party involved, the SNP, says a vote for us, and we get a majority at a major general election, UK general election, means that we have the ability to say we're independent. It's treated like a referendum. It basically is treated the same as a referendum, and that's it. And it's perfectly legal. And internationally, it's perfectly legal. And lots of other countries have done this before.
It takes us back to the Supreme Court ruling where they said there is a democratic route out of this union. And I've been pointing out ever since that the democratic route out of this union, if a referendum is denied, is a Westminster plebiscite election. Now, the other thing about plebiscite election is it's a single issue election. That way there is no doubt about it what the party who's putting that single issue in front of the people is doing. Single issues are normally done with referenda, as David has pointed out.
Yeah, what will happen, just to break in on that bit you've just said there, right? It's a single issue. What will happen is that all of the other unionist parties will go, why are you not mentioning drug deaths, or why are you not mentioning this, or why are you not mentioning that on your thing? It has to be that one single issue. Vote for the SNP is a vote for Scottish independence.
And that will have to be worded, and there has to be nothing else in that manifesto. That was the failure at the last one, because it wasn't just a vote for the SNPs, a vote for independence. It was then a full manifesto programme behind it.
Yes.
Whereas in the case of a plebiscite election, the parties that are pushing that single issue cannot put any more than the single issue in that election manifesto. Right. So that's important, folks. But I have been saying this all along, that a Holyrood plebiscite election won't work. It's got to be a Westminster plebiscite election.
So let's do that blow by blow. 2026 comes, May 7th, 2026 comes, right?
Right.
What happens is that, try as we might, it could be that the SNP don't manage quite to get the majority that they were hoping for.
But there will be a pro-independence majority in that parliament.
They did get the maximum, fair enough, right? But if they don't, then what's going to happen, according to Gordon McIntyre Kemp, is that it would be, right, we'll ask them if we're now a pro-independence majority, that means with the Greens and all the rest of it, right? Are we getting a referendum? No. Well, if we're not getting a referendum, we're going to take 2029 as being a plebiscite election.
Single issue election. Now, sorry, it's not too late for 2026. It's just an unwillingness for them to get their fucking finger out. Last Braveheart, it's not me that's saying that. It's Gordon McIntyre Kemp. I'm explaining what he has to say. So if you disagree with Gordon McIntyre Kemp, please address your complaint to Gordon McIntyre Kemp. As far as he's concerned, no me, no David, as far as he's concerned, you see that I've got a different opinion of it, Last Braveheart. I'm of the opinion that it wouldn't be legitimate if it was a Scottish parliamentary election, because it's a bastard child of Westminster, and the Scotland Act kicks in. Whereas a Westminster election, the Scotland Act's not involved. But these are different issues. God believes it's too late to make 2026 about it. As far as I'm concerned, it should never be a Holyrood election. It's got to be a Westminster election for plebiscite. MPs take us in, MPs will take us back out again.
Even Maggie Thatcher, our old enemy, who's now dead, God rest her soul, goodness me, what did I say that for, right? At the end of the day, it's like she even said that. She said, if
you fucking try and kill me.
The Scots want independence, get a number of MPs.
Majority of SNP MPs in this hole, that's what she said, and it's done.
Yeah.
So that's the way it's going to be. And Gordon McIntyre Kemp apparently agrees.
Yeah.
for different reasons, but he's realised that 2029 would be the right time to have that plebiscite election. Now, why is Gordon doing it, David? Why is Gordon saying what he's saying?
Because effectively it becomes the never ending that the unionists talk about, right? We never, ever stop doing the same thing over and over again. Gordon McIntyre is determined that even though it's expected that Westminster will go, no, fuck off, right? That we will do something different. Which is...
So, Larry Cat, you can find me on both Discord and Facebook, but it'd be better if you hit me up on Discord, I think, at this particular point in time. I'll get the notification on my phone. I'll be able to see what it is you're saying, Sir Larry. Okay.
David, can I just stop something at this part of the broadcast? We stop putting up things which are irrelevant, whilst either, I mean, if I had the button, I could do the same to you, bring up things whilst you're trying to make a point. Now, I'm not going to continue with that point. I'm just going to say that, and that's that end of story. Yeah?
I do apologise. I did want to reply to Sir Larry, David. If I interjected at a bad time, I do apologise.
You did.
I apologise. Right, the reason why Gordon's doing it is he thinks that if the SNP don't get a majority, John will shelf it to 2031. And as you've pointed out, David, Gordon's realised that this has got to come to a head. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and getting the same result and thinking it's going to change, because that's Einstein's theory. You know, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different outcome.
It's a good strategy.
That is a good strategy.
However, it is still down to, at the moment, it's all to play for 2026. What happens if we do get an SNP majority in 2026? Do we have John Swinney says, Mr. Starmer, sir, can we have a referendum? He goes, no, fuck off. And John says, all right, fair enough. Well, I'll go and fuck off to over there, or well, I'll go and fuck off to over there. That's what's needed. That's what's really, really, really needed.
Super chatting, David. Let me deal with this. Karen, thank your son who's up for Surrey. We have ventured out the border once to give money to food banks in England. We'll not be making a habit yet, but we might do it again. But thank you very much, Robbie. That's awfully generous of you, young man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, David, that's the reason why Gordon's doing it, because he thinks John will go soft and shelf it to 2031.
Well, no, but if it's a majority in 2026, what is John's plan?
Well, his plan is to ask for a referendum if the SNP get a majority, and he expects to get one because of a precedence has been set.
Right. So what happens is that we know that regardless of the situation, Westmore, Starmer is going to say, now is not the time, right? Okay, so what does John Swinney do? Does John Swinney then do what Alex Salmond said? And he said, we're having a referendum.
Well, that's what Nicola done. She went to the Supreme Court, but to get legitimacy for it, she should have just had it. Because as that date approached, the unionists would have got on board.
That's right.
And John, if he wins that majority, there's a pro-independence majority on in Holyrood, he can announce the referendum. They will say they're not going to recognise it. You go ahead and have it anyway.
If SNP get a majority, I'm telling you and all our viewers, right, as far as that's concerned, John had better just announce that referendum and nothing else. Not that we're going to go to court to get permission for, or we're going to do this to get permission for. We're having a referendum. End of. If it's an SNP majority.
This is relevant for Nathan. Mm-hmm. If we get an Indie majority in 2029, do you think the UK government will try and block it? They can't. That's the whole point of the Supreme Court making that ruling, that there is a democratic way out of this union. And it's always been in front of our face. It's been there since Margaret Thatcher told us about it.
That's right.
So it's a case of the people having short memories and only people our age being old enough to remember what Maggie said. But the real is, as David and I are saying, the reason why we think, in fact, Gordon makes it clear in his statement that the reason why he's plotting that route is because he thinks John will shelf it. which is basically he's backing John into a corner and telling him, you're no fucking shelving this. We've got the momentum now. We need to keep at it. We need to keep it the coal face.
Well, there's two races there. Two races there.
Right.
One race, thankfully put in place with Gordon McIntyre Kemp, which is that just in case we don't manage an SNP majority.
Carol, that's quite timely, but we'll get there. Don't worry about it. We'll be covering that a wee bit later. Don't let any Tories run any of our voting systems. Funny that, Carol. David and I have been investigating IDOCs. But we'll get there when we get there. It's part of the programme.
And also the other company, Franco UK Bidco Limited.
Which is a subsidiary of an American company.
Yes.
We'll
get there. We'll get there.
So basically the voting systems are being sold out to Americans, being opened up to privatisation, but we'll get there. Right, let's get to number 2. This one really shocked me, David. The BBC joined the Daily Express in making up SNP policy on the hoof. The BBC today run a piece on their website saying that the finance minister is going to have to go back on her pledge not to raise taxes. When did the finance minister say she wasn't going to raise taxes?
That's a fucking joke. It really is. Well, let's look at the bones of it, right? Rachel Reeves is left doing a budget too late, far too late. That means that the Scottish government have got to wait until the UK government bring forth the budget so that they know what the spending plans are going to be for Scotland.
Correct.
Because if they add 1 pence onto income tax in England and Wales and all this, right, that will add £1 billion onto our cost. It'll take £1 billion off of us, right? Okay. 2 pence means they're going to take 2 billion off, right? So Scotland at that point doesn't know what the budget is going to be.
Yep.
Now, as far as anybody saying, are you going to raise income tax? We don't know.
Well, the lie that they're perpetuating here is based on a question that was given. It was put to John Swinney by the BBC on the 29th of October 2025 when he was asked if they planned on raising taxes here in Scotland, and John said at this point in time we don't have any plans to raise any taxes. But that was prominent. It was basically based on the situation we were in October, prior to Rachel Reeves hinting that she was going to stick up income tax and lower national insurance. So 2 pence up on income tax, 2 pence down on employees' national insurance. Basically, leaving no real change.
No, there would be a change in that.
Of course, they would die. They would save $2 billion coming to Scotland.
Yeah, but not just that. The employers that landed with more national insurance on their end, they'll get rid of employees. It's the only thing they can do. Think about it.
Aye. Some of the comments are no bad today. But as I say, it's a total lie, folks. But it's going to be big press. Well, the next couple of weeks and up until the Scottish budget is going to be SNP break pledge. SNP break pledge. If you check the manifesto, there's no pledge to no raise taxes.
Yeah.
And Shona Robson has never once said or pledged that she will not raise taxes. Never once. John was at a point in time where he didn't know what the situation was going to be like if he intended to raise taxes. And he said at that point in time he didn't. That's all. It wasn't a pledge. There's no pledge in the SNP manifesto, but it's what we've come to expect for the BBC. And we'll get a wee bit more of the BBC later on because there's something about to happen which could fucking topple them and weaken them dramatically.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
All right, well, one thing always leads into another, David. And let's move on for the BBC to MP Brian Leishman, Labour MP for Alloa and Grangemouth, and three of his colleagues from south of the border who were
the chap who complained about the Grangemouth effectively being closed down. And he won his election, he said, based upon the fact that the Labour government would protect the workers at Grangemouth.
That's right. He said he was voted in on a false prospectus. I have to say, Brian Leishman has been one of the most honest MPs for the Labour Party we've run across. He was disgusted with his party after the election. He had nowhere to walk because he is an ideological unionist. So he's stuck in the party. And of course, he was kicked out of the party for, the whip suspended along with 4 of his colleagues in England because he repeatedly voted against the Labour Party's austerity policy agenda. So anyway, Chief Whip Jonathan Reynolds had the 4 of them in on Friday night to offer them the whip back, and they obviously there's been assurances that they won't get the whip removed again for voting against them, because they are going to vote against the party again. We know that because the 4 of them came out, especially Brian Leishman, and said, I'll take the whip back, but I'm not changing direction. Labour needs to change direction.
It is. I tell you what, that sounds like, it was, as we were discussing earlier, that sounds like Starmer is starting to get the shakes. He's starting to think, am I going to end up with not having a majority of MPs anymore?
Well, it is a worry for a minute because 20 councillors have walked the flare to join Zach Balanski.
That's right. Yeah.
20 Labour councillors. And that's not including the ones that walked the flare to join Reform.
Yeah.
We know there's some problems with the sound of the Eddie. It's some sort of reverberation we're having with the new camera.
Which David are you talking about? Are you talking about David McGuinness or are you talking about David Milligan?
They're talking about you, David. They call me Davy.
Unfortunately, David has turned me down as low as he can because he can't stand the sound of my voice.
No, that's not at all. You've got some sort of reverberation coming through you now. Thanks very much for the super chat, John. And happy birthday, John.
Yes.
Don't think I didn't notice it's your birthday, dear boy.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Right.
Yeah, well, listen, at least you got it for free, John. If you're on John, because if you're on Maximilian Robespierre, you've got to pay him to sing happy birthday to you. But to be honest with you, may stay pay him not to sing.
Well, these songs do exist, by the way, just in case we get pulled for that one, right? There's bias.
Right, Brian's got the Labour whip back. I have no idea why he took it because it's not going to last long. He's told the Labour Party, change your ways because I'm not changing mine, which means that when this budget rolls in, he's going to vote against it.
Yeah. Yes.
Ashbury, you know where the naughty step is. Right, so let's move on. Scottish Government has announced new targets after scrapping the old targets for getting to net zero by 2045. So what's in it? Well, what's in it is a bit dark in here. Decarbonise household heating systems. Plant 18,000 hectares of forestry a year. Mend and repair the peat bog system, the peat fields, and scrap the sale of diesel and petrol cars by 2030. Now that one's not going to get through, David, is it?
I don't think it's going to get through at all because really the electric car is a banger that went.
But that's not the reason why it's not going to get through. Is it would upset the market here in the UK?
Yeah, but the electric sales of electric cars have just plummeted. Really,
I know that, but as I say, the real reason is the target to fade them out in England is 2035.
Yeah.
Today in 2030 in Scotland, they're going to need an exemption for the internal market bill.
Impossible, but it's impossible anyway.
And the motor industry is going to put pressure on Westminster to veto that on the internal market bill. And apart from that, Westminster would do it at spite the way they did with the deposit return scheme.
No, so if you take into account the car firms that still exist in the UK are actually they have a fine that they pay each year for not doing enough sales of electric vehicles.
Aye.
That's still in place, believe it or not. It's still in place.
Well, as I say, there's nothing new in it. Nothing at all. They've upped the amount of trees to be planted there, upped the amount of husbandry of the peat bogs. The decarbonising of a household heating systems, that's never going to be as cost. The cost of this is 4.8 billion just for the heating systems alone.
Yep.
Now, the other thing about it is they made a pledge to farmers that they're not going to have to cut livestock numbers. That's the reason why they're putting so much money into sorting out the peat bog situation, because they're big carbon sumps. And now the promise is that they'll get the peat fields and peat bogs up to scratch to absorb the carbon that's coming from agriculture. Right? Now, they're trying to decarbonise agriculture. That'll be electronic vehicles and things like that, David, as you know. But they don't want Scottish farmers to have to cut the number of livestock because it's a huge part of Scottish business. Food and drink is massive. But the Climate Change Committee here in Scotland, which is part of the World Health Organization, the United Nations Climate Change Committee, they all feed into it. They've made it quite clear to the Scottish Government that no matter what they do, the amount of livestock being farmed here in Scotland is going to have to be cut. Now, cattle, believe it or not, folks, worldwide are the third biggest contributor to global warming.
Was it fart?
Yep.
I'll tell you straight away, right? I because I can't get out to do a shop in a normal supermarket, right? I end up getting my stuff delivered, right? So I request normal whole milk, and they keep on trying to send this blooming Arla nonsense, which is they put chemicals in it to stop cattle from farting, right? I'm not drinking that shite. I'm not touching it, right? Seriously.
Well, you do know that the Scottish University here has got a serious programme of inventing some sort of bio chemical free a food additive to stop the production of methane in cattle, don't you? It's a big thing worldwide. They're all trying to cut.
Imagine it's like the cows in the field are going to start inflating to the point of
That's it. The farmers
they're going to go bang,
Farmers are going to have to anchor them as they bob about in the sky. You have to get balloons to get the straw up to feed them, you know. That's serious science.
That's what I'm trying to say, right? Anytime you mess about with nature in that way, the wheel comes off. And that's why I won't drink any of the Arla shite.
Well, David, you know, I would reckon that the way we look at the amount of mental health problems that exist today compared to the 60s, and 70s, and 80s, I would say food additives have definitely got something to do with it.
Yes.
You know, but as I say, the only thing that's problematic here is the fact that they want to skew the automotive market in the UK. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Unless we're independent, I'm afraid Westminster will veto that one.
Ah, yeah. But at the end of the day, it's like Westminster would be doing us a favour in that one respect, because lots of people are not. They're not going to be ready.
Now, of course, decarbonising of domestic dwellings by 2040 is a big thing for decarbonising, of course. The other thing is, but what do we do with non-domestic properties?
Yeah, but let's just go back to the domestic properties, right? I've just got a new boiler. Okay, so a couple of months ago, right? So am I going to end up whereby that's going to have to be torn out?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's a gas boiler.
Why not run hydrogen through the gas pipes?
Might be an answer.
Running hydrogen. Well, I think we need to have a little bit more planning here.
Well, the idea with non-domestic dwellings within cities anyway, and within urban areas, is that they will hook up to what they call district heating schemes.
Yes.
All right. But that will no work for rural businesses.
Yeah, I know that.
Because of the domestic, the the district heating schemes won't stretch out into the countryside.
Yeah, but in the countryside, you can put up a mid-sized wind turbine. A mid-sized wind turbine during the day will produce electricity for the houses, which go into a battery for maybe nighttime for lighting, right? And on the nighttime, when people are using it less, it switches over to hydrogen production. So in actual fact, all those areas in the rural areas could end up. There's ways. What I'm saying is, it's not beyond the wit of man.
No,
It's not beyond the wit of Scotsman or Scotswoman to actually work out a way of actually dealing with this properly.
no, we can do it. And Stephen's telling us all properties in Orkney use electric that's generated through renewables. Well, that doesn't surprise me, Stevie, because as David will tell you, I live in a village that's all electric, and all your electric comes from a local wind farm.
Yeah, well, Steve just mentioned there, right? Do you realise one of the biggest is it onshore wind farms exist there?
Where's that?
In Orkney.
Aye, in Orkney, aye. Yeah, they've got the highest electricity bills, aye.
And still in all, they pay some of the highest electricity bills in the country.
And part of celebrating Scottish renewables, I'd like to say congratulations to Hagshaw Hill, a wind farm, for getting back up and running in short time. What they did was they took out 28 medium-sized turbines, replaced them with 14 new larger turbines, and now it's producing up more electricity. Now, if you don't know Hagshaw Hill's wind farm, it was the very first onshore wind farm here in Scotland. It's in the Douglas Valley, and it powers Lesmahago, Coburn, Douglas, Rigside, Douglas Water, and a fair chunk of Lanark. So with the new turbines, it's going to be able to power 57,000 homes.
Yeah, and these people are still going to end up with some of the highest electricity bills in the United Kingdom, in Europe, in the world.
Hey, John's got, why not just feed the coos some Old Spice? It's not about the smell, John, it's about the gas. That's a cool one. Right, let's move on because time's moving on, David. The BBC are trying to set the agenda for new voters here in Scotland.
Oh, go on then.
The Royal Society of Edinburgh have taken it upon themselves to go out and talk to new voters, 16-year-olds that are going to be allowed to vote, to help them understand the voting system and how it works. So, in order to do that, they're also taking along with them a bunch of politicians to speak to these children in each region and to put their policy prospectuses, and it's tightly controlled, just their policy prospectuses. In other words, their manifestos in front of these kids, right? And afterwards, the BBC tagged along, and afterwards they asked these kids what the three most urgent things for them is. Now, two of the parties that were there would have been the Alpha Party and the SNP. I know which parties were there. Alpha, SNP, Labour, Tory, Lib Dem. And no, I don't think you can Centre representative. So maybe just the five parties. Anyway, they all had to stand up and give their policy prospectus, basically their manifesto, to these kids. Now, two of the parties with the first line in the manifesto would be independence for Scotland. Yet when the BBC asked these kids, yeah, all right, it was the borders, but when the BBC asked the kids, apparently the top three things independence wasn't one of them. That doesn't make sense. They would have been 72% of them.
That's right.
Intend to vote for independence, and it's up there as probably one or two in their consciousness. But what did the BBC say the most important things to kids are?
Let me just stop that for a second, right? Okay.
Okay.
Because the borders, right?
Uh-huh.
The borders were always known as being difficult. It's been very, very difficult to get a pro-independence vote from this. In other words, the one of the smallest pro-independence areas that we've got, right? And kids will tend to vote the same as their parents do. So it's possible that in that case, in that sense, that this was quite right.
but I doubt it. Even if David, they kids would have come out either they say independence or anti-independence would have been up there.
Yeah, they'd be in the top 3 at least.
Aye, at least. But the top,
maybe in the third, but it would still be in there.
yes.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying. I do appreciate
what was it the BBC had the top 3? Mental health, buses and school meals.
The buses have already got.
Yep. Mental health, well, we know that's an increased problem since the pandemic.
CAMS has already met their targets for Scotland.
Yep. CAMS are meeting their targets at the moment. And the third one, of course, free school meals.
Yeah.
Well, they're 16-year-old, most of the kids here, 86% of kids here, I think it is, it's still only 18.
Yeah.
So the cost of food for their mums and dads could well be an issue.
Yeah.
Even though the borders are one of the more prospective areas.
I think the reason why a lot of kids stay on at school is because they're misfired. They're misfired due to COVID and the lockdown and all the rest of it, right? There's a lot of kids are misfired. So in actual fact, instead of saying, no, I want to get out, it's not happening. It's not. So
the thing is, the Scottish Government paying them to stay at school.
Yeah, that's right. True, absolutely.
And that £40 a week could mean an awful lot to your family.
If you're just a light smoker, I suppose I'll buy you some fags.
David, if they're contributing to the family, it's going to feed the family.
Well,
you know, today folks had to nip out of the bank and give an emergency payment out to Renfrew Food Bank. Yeah. A pop down and getting 250 quid a day because they're on their uppers. Yeah. Right, let's move on. And
just before you go on from that one, tell us a wee bit about the Renfrew Food Bank. How many outlets have they actually got?
They cover quite a vast area. They cover Paisley, Renfrew, out into Inverclyde. They've got 4 distribution warehouses. Yeah. One at Paisley, one in Shannon, and I can't remember where the other 2 are.
Really, it's quite a good setup.
It's a big setup, aye.
And you can imagine it would take very, very little to topple over an organisation like that.
No, but just a cash flow problem could be the thing that does it.
That's right.
Now, folks, a lot of people think that Renfrew is associated with the Trust. Let me close this up for a lot of people. What happens is a lot of these independents go to the Trussell Trust to get food, but they pay the Trussell Trust an administration fee and a transport cost. But it's still cheaper than going to the supermarket and buying it themselves. And the Trussell Trust, having government and supermarket banking, always have an excess they could horn out. Or they did up until now, believe it or not, but right now even the Trussell Trust is on their fucking knees. Yeah. That's how bad things are, folks. There are over 5 million people UK-wide relying on food banks to stay alive from day to day. 5 million out of fucking, 65? So that is 10% of the population. 11% of the population relying on food banks to get through the day. There is a total of 9 million people in the UK living in poverty. 4.5 million are living in abject poverty.
Do you think it's time in Scotland when we should actually be looking at proper what they used to have was soup kitchens, and I'm talking about like from about 1910 onwards, right? With soup kitchens.
Soup kitchens they're called, David.
Yeah.
So the Russians are big on them. They still have them.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a way whereby somebody can go somewhere and they're guaranteed to get something in their stomach.
Aye.
Yeah.
But they say 9 million people, over a tenth of the population live in poverty. Yeah. 4.5 million in what we call abject poverty or destitution.
Yeah.
So, Renfrew Food Bank, we've given money to them before and we'll give money to them again. In fact, next month when we get into Inverclyde and Renfrew, so we'll give them money again. And then we'll speak to them again for another few years.
But it's those 4 main depots, if you like.
Aye.
That's the important part.
Yes, it's a big organisation.
That's 4 food banks that would be given to, and that's brilliant. Yeah. So
aye. Right, let's move on. good news for us BBC bashers. And that is Tim Davies and the Mrs. Furness have resigned.
Ready, aim,
Ah.
fire. That's a P45. There you
go. Now, reasons given for the resignations. Doctoring Trump's speech and Panorama programme on Gaza.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the reason why Davies got a big smile on him when it comes to talking about this one is because Donald Trump's going to sue the BBC. Yeah.
That's right.
And if Donald Trump wins a lawsuit against the BBC, especially in American courts, it could be the end of the BBC as an organisation.
Yeah, well, he's got to cover the money he's losing on the tariffs, hasn't he? Yes, yeah. Wow. You know,
he's not losing a penny on tariffs.
No, but it's the people that rely on.
Aye. I mean, him and his billionaires are living it up on tariffs.
Yeah.
But the people that rely on the American economy are the ones that are getting fucked over.
Yeah.
But, as I say, Trump's going to sue the BBC.
Is their civil service still closed? That isn't it? Yeah. Civil service still closed, isn't it?
Aye. Oh, it's the longest shutdown in history. Aye. They'll get civil servants going to food banks because they've not been paid for that long.
Dreadful. Absolutely dreadful.
That is dreadful. But as I say, aye, Tim Davie was a spaffer stood. He was Larry the Cat. But anyway, now the reason cited for giving having to resign, pro-Palestinian propaganda on the BBC.
Well, apart from what's the name of the chap that was in charge of the Middle Eastern side, Jeremy Bone. He did a broadcast, and we all thought, how strange. That's the BBC actually standing up for the people of Gaza.
Uh-huh.
If you remember that was very, very strange.
Thank you, Neil. Now, what they're saying is it was pro-Palestinian propaganda, and they're saying that because one of the presenters, the young people that was on it, his father was a Hamas official. Yeah. But he wasn't a member of the Hamas military wing. He was a politician. Yeah. And people, this is the bit we're all being asked to forget.
It's a bit like Sinn Féin and Yari.
Aye.
If they all used Sinn Féin, then you understand people getting a bit mixed up. But effectively, Hamas have got a military wing seemingly and a political wing seemingly. So there you go. But I still find it very strange that it was Netanyahu who coughed up the money to set up Hamas in the first place, because he needed a political organisation to take on the Palestinian Liberation Army. There was a political setup.
Yeah, man, I do this one. Civil servant, Davey. Aye, civil servant. I don't buy this public official push. You start calling them public officials, it gives them power over you. Keep them as civil servants, they're there to serve you.
That's right. Yeah.
I remember exactly when it happened. So did David. It was when they introduced the big super councils here in Scotland. All of a sudden, you stopped having public servants and started having public officials. That's right. And that's when the transition for you being in charge to them being in charge started to happen.
And Strathclyde was just a fucking mess. Sorry.
But it's all about timeline. Yeah. It's all about timeline. How we go for the government serving the people to the people serving the government. And this is
the reason why you might look at it and go, oh, history's a waste of fucking time. Learn your history, learn recent history at least. Learn these things. Learn why super organisations like Strathclyde Council was a mess. And it was.
What is it? This lot are actually predicting what we're going to talk about today. Wow. Anyway, Trump's going to sue the BBC and hopefully they get fucking sued big.
This Ashbury stumble, he's actually part of there's a time machine in there.
Is he? I think he's listening in while you and I are writing this fucking That's two of them that I'm fucking talking we're going to talk about today already. Talk about what you're talking about, history stumbles. We're going to nip over to Northern Ireland right now
That's right.
to talk about their education minister,
I
Paul
know,
Gavin.
Brian Kate says. There you are.
But the Northern Irish, wow, who's for the dark side? For you are the dark side. Thanks very much. Fraser Campbell, sorry, late to the show. Thanks for your response to the Renfrew Food Bank. Fraser,
yeah.
Fraser, you know what? Thank you, mate. And as they're getting that, they're getting money fees again at the end of November because we're going into Inverclyde and Renfrew next. We'll make sure that £50 makes it to them.
So that everybody knows, Fraser is a person that informed me of what was happening. What I did with our phone, David, within half an hour.
And I was on the phone to the treasurer within 20 minutes of that.
Yeah.
And I got down to the bank after the show this morning and made the transfer. Yeah. Okay, and Fraser, at the end of this month, end of November, excuse me, folks, have you some of my coffee? We're in Inverclyde and we're in Renfrew, so we'll make sure we help them again to make sure they stay steady on their feet till they find regular funding again. Okay, so thanks, Fraser. You're a star. Right,
any help with that, please, just a quick thing. Any help like that you can give, that's wonderful. Seriously, what Fraser's done is what we asked before. If you have any food banks that are really in dire straits, let us know about it, because
if we can help, we will.
If you've given us enough money and we've got enough money in the back, then fine, that's it, we'll do it.
Yep. Like a couple of months ago, it was Glasgow West Food Bank after they get broken into, mate.
Yeah, that's right.
And every now and again, there's a local Lanarkshire food bank will phone us up. Most of the time, I get them out of my own pocket. And if I don't, then I'll take it out the Two Davies and put it back for me in pocket. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
You know, but and I keep receipts for it all. Anyway, let's get to the next item or we're going to run out of time. Fuck, we'll make 10 minutes left. Northern Ireland Education Secretary buggers off to Israel for a visit and then broadcasts from an Israeli primary school in Jerusalem, which is supposed to be, of course, the Palestinian capital. Although it's supposed to be a shared capital at this point in time, but it is a Palestinian capital. And from there, he broadcasts his support for the Israeli regime. Now, of course, the people of Northern Ireland were rightly outraged. 3 of the political parties in the parliament called for a vote of no confidence in Paul Gavin. Sinn Féin, the SDLP, and the fence-sitting party, the Alliance. Right? They've all called for a vote of no confidence because their voters are repulsed at his behaviour. The Unionists have come out on his side with the exception of the TUV, who have given him a light rebuke but will support him in the motion of no confidence. The DUP and the UUV, the real lunatics, the knuckle tigers, the real bigots, they say it's an anti-unionist attack because unionism is akin to Zionism. Somebody better tell the Scottish Unionists because they don't fucking know that. Because it doesn't matter which side of the fence on the independence thing you're on here. We all think what's happening in Israel and Gaza by Israel is a fucking outrage. Now, the SDLP and the Alliance both think that Paul Gavin has broken their ministerial code. He's also under investigation for misusing Education Department funds to fund his visit to Israel.
Now, again, see, idiots like we call them in the Ulster Unionist Party, the DUP and all the rest of it, right? Democratic Unionist Party. Do they not listen to the news articles when it talks about how many children have been killed in Gaza? Do they just not register with them, or are they in agreement with it, or what?
You've got to remember the unionist view in Northern Ireland, and that is that The nationalists, the Irish people, the indigenous Irish people, are lesser beings than them because they're British. And that's an alignment with Israel's view that the Palestinians are non-humans.
Yeah.
So the DUP say it's an attack, and the UUV say it's an attack on unionism, because unionism is akin to Zionism. And it is when you take that view that the nationalists or the indigenous people of Ireland are no as good as the unionists because they claim to be British. And that's the idea, that's the Israeli policy towards the Palestinians. They're non-humans, they're lesser beings.
What can I say? They live among us, eh?
They do live among us. Breaking news, the SNP have seized control of Stirling Council, ousting Scottish Labour from power in the city. Knew that vote was growing, thanks for letting us know. That's after the voting of the young fit voting into the Scotland's youngest councillor a couple of weeks back here.
Yeah.
Right, so that vote of no confidence is taking place today. I think their education secretary will survive. And if he doesn't, I expect the DUP, the TUV, and the UUV to crash Stormont again.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Right, a quick trip to Wales.
Yes.
With a few minutes we've got left.
Won't give me any of your drama, boy, and get on with it. There we are. Boy, yucky da.
Yucky da, boy. Anyway, what's the problem with Wales? The same one we've got here in Scotland. Their electoral board has announced that the count will now take place as a daytime count as opposed to a nighttime count. This takes us back to Carol's point about IDOCs and the Tories owning the electronic voting system.
I won't say a word.
No, you can.
Seriously, this rips on it, man. It really does. And
I know. He was off doing that fucking. He was off doing that rabbit hole like a bullet out of a gun when we brought up IDOCs. Yeah, you never seen his wee machine go so bloody fast. He needs to learn to slow down. His iPhone doesn't speak Scottish. That's why I typed David. But of course, you've got problems with typing at the moment. But anyway, as we know, IDOCs is being bought out by a so-called UK company, which is actually a subsidiary of an American company, so it's actually being bought out by an American company. But that's beside the point.
IDOCs is the organisation that was owned by Peter Lilly, Conservative, right? And effectively, it won the contract to do all of the count for 2014, for Scottish elections, you name it, right?
Okay. Now that explains a lot about 2014 if IDOCs was running the count.
Yes, right. And now we've got the situation whereby the company, I just forget the name of the moment partnership. It's giving me the moment, but there's another company involved, and it is part owner of Frankel UK Bidco Limited, who have just had the okay from this British government to buy effectively
the vote count system here in the UK, one of them.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about IDOCs is before having up for sale, it bought the other one. Yes. The other vote counting. But the interesting thing about Wales and its daytime count is they haven't invested in electronic counting. There's not enough of them as far as they're concerned.
I think we're getting taken for a ride here.
I think it's a watching brief, David. I don't like this.
I don't like it at all.
It's got to do with voting intentions in Scotland and Wales, because all of a sudden it's come quite clear that the SNP are going to win in Scotland. It's becoming very clear that it looks like Plaid Cymru are going to win in Wales, and all of a sudden the way elections are conducted is being changed. That's a worry.
Right. The one and only way we've got of checking votes and voting votes actually happen, right, is where people stand outside election booths, polling stations, and say, "Excuse me, do you mind telling me what you voted?" Just so we can put it down and that way, put all them together, and you've actually got a made up, if you like. It's got to be within so many percentage points of that, right? And that means then, if it's not, then you can order a steward's inquiry.
The next thing we're going to have to look at is whether there's going to be exit polls or no, David.
That's what I was on about, exit polls.
Aye.
It's the only way. But the thing about it is that if those ballot boxes are going to be left alone overnight, who's going to guarantee the security of those ballot boxes? Because at the end of the day, I'll tell you now, MI5 must be licking their fucking lips over it.
Hi, Ange. Sneaking in late, away. Naughty step, and you get to stay there tomorrow morning and all. I'm going to put 2 candles on for you. But as we wind this one up, David, I think you and I are both rightly suspicious about what's going on here.
We can't afford for this to be in the hands of the MI5 or any dirty trick squad.
As I say, I find it funny that it's become clear that both of these countries intend to vote one way specifically, and all of a sudden the voting system gets changed. That's got to raise the hair on everybody's neck, David.
I expect to see the settled will of Scotland, not the settled will of the British establishment. Simple as that.
Aye.
You know.
As I say, I don't. There's something feels no right about this. The voting intentions are becoming clear as these elections get nearer, and as the voting intention seems to be Scottish nationalists, Welsh nationalists, they've changed the voting, the vote count method. That's always going to be a worry for the general public.
Stephen McNeil mentions CCTV. CCTV. I had a company that actually did CCTV, and I tell you now, it can easily be overcome.
Look at.
Yeah.
Even I could do it, and I'm a fucking tech idiot.
That's right.
Huh? Right, guys, that is 57. I've got to go to work. And once again, we never made it to the end of all the subjects we wanted to talk about, David. But we hope that way, apart from me getting a rebuke for David.
I'm not worried about that. The situation with the possible frigging about with our voting system is probably the most important thing that we put out today, apart from the initiative by Gordon McIntyre Kemp.
Yes.
We need to make sure that our voting system is sacrosanct. And seriously, guys, start talking about it, because one of you will come up with a proper solution as to what we do, and then we'll all get on board. If it means that we, the people, secure the ballot boxes, right? Then so be it. But we make sure that we blooming do it, and we do it as a movement, as a solid movement of people. We need the people of Scotland to blooming speak here.
David, we will know if there's going to be government interference or no if they announce that the English local elections will be a next day count.
Well, there you go.
Because it would mean that Labour and MI5 are messing about. Folks, listen, going to hit the like button away out the door, 170 odds a year a day, which is a great number.
Yeah, don't forget, just before we go, right, I did write a fully researched piece at the weekend regarding the SNP are the threat to the UK, right? And in actual fact, just turning its head, the UK is a threat to the people of Scotland, right? So there you go.
Yep.
There you go. And it's in actual fact, when you bring in that thing with the voting, that is where they are a threat to us. They're a clear present danger to us.
Well, let's put it this way, David. It's definitely a brief you and I will be watching.
Yeah.
And you and I are watching quite a lot of things all the time.
Time for independence, independence, independence. Keep your eyes on the prize and make sure that these bastards don't overtake our blooming voting system.
Aye. Right, folks, thanks for watching us in whopping numbers a day, 174 there at one point. As the winter comes in, of course, David, it does climb a bit again as people don't get out as much as they do in the summer. We find that numbers rise in the winter. We can go up over 200 per show in the winter, and then in the summer it drops after about 120, 130 as people spend time outside.
Seemingly somebody thinks you look the double of Dean Martin.
Me?
he gives a few bars of little old wine drinking gummy.
And Martin, wait a minute, I get my hat. I'll tell you in a minute. I hope you
Oh, shit.
Does that help?
No. Fuck off. Right.
Aye, I think we'll end it at that, David. You guys, thanks for your super chats. Thanks to the mods. And thanks to you all for watching in huge fucking numbers a day. Welcome back. There's an election coming up. Let's get on it. Eyes on the prize. Let's win it. Bye for now. Over to you, David.
See you guys.
Back tomorrow. Don't be late. 10:30 or you're on.